Don't use your phone in a fuel station, it might catch a fire. Don't charge your phone overnight, it's not good for the battery. We've been hearing such statements for a long time now, and today we'll see if they are actually true. Welcome to my top 10 tech myths in 2022. So we've heard a lot of people say that this app is secure because it was installed from the Google Play Store. Is it true? Are all apps in the Google Play Store really secure? Well, the answer to that, contrary to popular belief, is no. Although a majority of the apps from the Google Play Store are safe, there are still a small amount of apps that can be a potential harm to your device. No wonder why the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store keeps removing thousands of applications per day just because of security threats. Now there are some ways to prevent such threats. First of all, while installing the app, check if it at least has a 4-star rating. And once it is installed, go to the app permissions and disable all the permissions that is unwanted for the app. Like a painting app would never need access to the microphone unless it takes voice commands or something. Now you know how most smartphone companies these days are in a competition when it comes to who offers more RAM in their phones. There are budget phones with 2 to 4 gigs of RAM, there are mid-rangers with 6 to 8 gigs of RAM, and there are crazy flagships with 12 to 16 to 18 gigs of RAM. And most people tend to buy the phone with the more RAM because they think that makes their phone faster. Turns out they're wrong. More RAM does not mean more speed. RAM or random access memory is a temporary storage space for your device to carry out multiple functions. Or in simpler words, if you want to open multiple applications and use an app for a while, leave that app, go to another app and come back after a while and still want the app to be in the same state as you left it with, that's when you need more RAM. The speed of your device depends largely on its processor, and the RAM just enables multitasking. The next one is a similar misconception when it comes to smartphone battery. Generally, people think that more mAh means the battery stays longer. Well, that's not quite how it works. The battery life of a phone not only depends on its mAh value, but also its battery size, the processor type, the RAM type, and how the software works with the hardware. So you cannot simply judge the battery life of a phone by the mAh value. Speaking of battery life, you might have heard many people say, you should only use the charger that comes with the phone. And you guessed it, that's a myth. Yes, the charger that comes with the phone is always the perfect charger for that phone. But it is actually okay to use a third-party charger under these conditions. A. If the charger is from a reputed brand from an authorized store. B. If the input ratings match. Then you're good to go. It's funny how people still believe in this myth even when companies don't ship a charger with the phone. By the way, if you enjoyed so far, please make sure to give this video a huge thumbs up and give a slap to the red annoying button. Now, let's continue. Now, the sixth myth. A lot of people believe that fast chargers always charge fast, and it's not true. So when a company says that a particular charger charges at 120 watts, it doesn't mean that it charges at 120 watts all the time. Chargers these days are smart. Most of these chargers has got a chip inside of them, and this chip helps to sustain the phone's life depending on the condition it is surrounded by. So you might already know that heat is one of the greatest enemies for a smartphone's battery, and if a phone is put to charge in a hot climate, even though there is a 120 watt charger, the phone would still charge low to prevent the battery from overheating and eventually leading the smartphone to die. The next one is for a bunch of people who believe that AMOLED displays are always better than LCD displays. Well, it's true for the most part. AMOLED displays makes the blacks blacker, colors colorful, and they help a lot in reducing the power consumption. But that doesn't mean that AMOLED displays are always better. In some occasions, when the AMOLED displays are not optimized enough, an LCD display that is well tuned might be far better than an AMOLED display that is not. So some people think that their phone turned into something like this during thunderstorms. Yes, a lightning magnet. Well, that's not true. So you might know that lightning always hits the tallest building in the area. And that's why we have lightning conductors on top of tall buildings. So if your phone has to be hit by the lightning, you will either have to be on a surface higher than anything else or just be taller than others. But technically there will still be things taller than you. And especially if you're inside the house, the chance of getting hit by a lightning is very low. Although that's the fact, I would say avoid charging your phone during thunderstorms, as your phone wouldn't be able to handle the high voltage. Now to the top 3. And number 3 is a widely believed myth. Don't use your phone in fuel station. This myth has been around for years now, and it's not true. Like, think of it, if your phone can really start a fire, why would these people accept payments made through apps like Google Pay or other services? Now, you might ask, what about those videos I found on the internet? Well, let me explain. So you might know that petrol and diesel are highly inflammable. Even if you can't see, the vapor of these fuels are always present around them. Any slight spark can lead to the catching of fire. So whenever you get a call, in some phones there is a small spark generated inside it, and this leads to the catching of fire. But it's not always a phone. The card swiping machine these days are Android devices themselves, and you can find them in almost every single fuel station. Now, the real question is how to avoid static charges, because that's what is leading to the catching of fire. In countries like India, this is not an issue as you are not the one refueling. But in some Western countries where the people driving themselves are the ones who fill the fuel, it's safe for them to wear some sort of a glove to prevent the static charges. Now, don't start arguing with the petrol pump employees if they ask you to turn off your phone. Just know that it is okay to use your phone with proper precautions. Now, the second most common myth: don't charge your phone overnight. Many people, especially elders, believe in this myth, and the truth is pretty obvious. Charging your phone overnight does not damage your phone's battery. If you're using a phone from like 2006 or something, which I think is pretty rare if you're watching this, in those phones it is not okay to charge your phone overnight and it will damage your phone's battery. But in the current phone, that's not the case. As I told you, the chargers these days are really smart. They know when to cut off the power and they only provide what the phone is asking for. Now, though the overnight charging does not cause any damage, I would always suggest keeping your phone's battery percentage somewhere between 20 to 90 most of the time. This will get you a slightly longer and better battery life because your phone's battery is the most stressed when it's near 0 or 100%. So always charge your phone once it's near 15 or 20% and unplug it once it is near 90. Free battery advice. Finally, the most common and probably the most depressing myth of all is that smartphone radiation can cause cancer. I mean, who made that up? My mom still keeps yelling at me because of this. In order to bust this myth, you need to understand the two types of radiations: ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. Our phones have a non-ionizing radiation, and scientifically there are no evidence to prove that non-ionizing radiation can cause cancer. These days, the government has set something called a SAR value limit, and every smartphone manufacturer has to keep the value below it. SAR stands for specific absorption rate. It implies the energy absorbed by the device. In India, this is a SAR value. You can see the radiation level of your phone by dialing this USSD code on your phone's keypad. And if it's below the SAR value, it's completely safe. Okay, so those are some myths busted. I think we should change the light. Okay, so that looks cool. This is probably the most researched video I've ever made, so it would mean a lot if you could like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share this video to someone who might be following this myth. My name is Nived, and until next video,